Hey everyone, Matt here from Doc's Arena, and today we're going to do a comparison review of the Nike Vomero 17 and the New Balance Fresh Foam X 1080 version 13. So these are both premium neutral daily training shoes. They are both very different from their prior versions, where you got this nice update, new upper, and a top layer of Zoom X in the Vomero 17, and then you have the 1080 version 13, which is like completely redone and totally different from its prior versions for a lot of reasons that we'll talk about. And for that and more that we'll talk about, these are two completely different shoes despite being in the same category. So I want to talk about what the major differences are and hopefully help guide you as to whether one or another might work better or might not work for you and help you with that decision. So let's start off with specs, because that's a good place to start. The Vomero 17 comes in at 10.1 ounces for men's size 9, 8.5 ounces women's size 8. The 1080 comes in at 9.2 ounces for men's size 9, 7.3 ounces women's size 8. The stack height over here on the Vomero 17 is 39 in the heel, 29 in the forefoot for a 10 millimeter drop. The 1080 version 13 has 38 in the heel, 32 in the forefoot for a 6 millimeter drop. And those drop differences are definitely noticeable, not in a bad way, but it's the Vomero 17, and let's start with ride, definitely has a little bit more of a traditional ride. Little higher heel drop, even though the stack height's really high, but you take that more traditional ride and kind of roll with the shoe, and you add a little bounce to it. It's kind of nice, slightly firmer ride with some bounce to it. Really nice overall for getting daily miles. If you want to pick up and do a little up-tempo work, as I've discovered, I didn't think I could do this in this shoe, but it's actually worked really well. Just do a little bit of up-tempo stuff, but mostly for easy miles, the Vomero 17 works really, really well. That's really different from the 1080, because this shoe there's a whole new formula for the Fresh Foam X. This is the softest shoe I think I've ever run in. The whole thing from heel to forefoot, there is so much compliance in the foam. It's not a bouncy foam. It is a super soft foam. So not resilient, it's compliant. The foam just compresses no matter where you land, and it kind of stays there. So you don't get a lot of bounce back. The super light ride for this category, 9.2 ounces, is super light for this type of shoe. It's noticeable, but you're not going to be able to pick up the pace in the shoe. At least I can't. It's best for super easy or recovery miles, and when you want to plod along. I can pick up the pace just a little bit in the Vomero. I really can't do that at all in the 1080, but the 1080 is just for your really nice, comfortable shoe, which also makes it a really good option for doing like all day wear if I'm walking around. That also is something it works really, really well for. For the Vomero, I really prefer to keep this for running, little up-tempo stuff, long runs. Typically works really, really well. So very, very different in that sense. The other thing that's a little bit different is that the rides, although the forefoots are a little bit stiff, the forefoot rocker in the 1080 rolls really nice and smooth. The forefoot over here, it's fairly smooth. It just feels like the shoe is just slightly long ride-wise, not in the fit. Fit is very true to size. The ride just feels like there's a little extra here, so it kind of feels like it's just a little extra stiff as you toe off. That goes away after I run a little bit, but just be aware this is kind of weird, longer fit that, yeah, it's kind of weird at first, and then about after a mile, it goes away. Heel transition-wise, both of them have these really, really, really nice bevels. Really nice, smoother ride. The lower drop in the 1080 makes this feel buttery smooth. The higher drop, but still great bevel over in the Vomero 17, is still really good. You just notice there's a little bit more heel over here. It's clunky, it's just a little bit more heel. So if you want a super smooth ride in the rear foot, 1080 is gonna work really well. If you don't mind a little higher drop and you still want a smoother heel, the Vomero 17 is gonna work totally great for you. Based on those foams, by the way, in terms of this being super soft and this being a little tiny bit firmer and bouncy, these are not stability shoes at all, but the Vomero is going to win out being the more neutral, it's the more stable of the two while still staying really, really neutral. It's not a stability shoe at all, even though it's got great sidewalls. It's just really neutral. The 1080, even though it has more features like a wider sole, wider midfoot, sidewalls throughout the length of the shoe, at least mild ones, it's so soft, it's not a shoe that I can handle for longer efforts, just because I need some at least mild guidance. So because they've got these mechanisms there, it kind of balances out a little bit, but it's still not a stable shoe. It's not unstable, it's just not, it's more on the unstable side of neutral. Not that that's a bad thing. There's people with stiff, stable mechanics. You're probably going to do really, really well in this shoe. If you need just like a tiny bit north stability-wise of neutral, the Vomero 17 is probably going to work better for you. I found I can do longer efforts in the Vomero 17 just because of the slight firmness and these sidewalls in the heel. albeit they are Zoom X, so not the most stable. They tend to work a little bit better for me. But if I'm looking for doing a shorter run and I just want the cushiest thing possible, 1080 is gonna work really well. Let's talk about fit. The fits are also really different. Very low volume. I feel like I have enough room in both, but low volume in the forefoot right here, whereas the 1080 has quite a bit more volume. I did have to tighten the laces down, especially in the midfoot, to get a secure fit. And once I did that, totally fine, but a little bit more room and volume in the 1080. Not a little bit, quite a bit more. The Vomero kind of sits lower volume throughout the length shoe. Definitely low in the forefoot and toe box. I didn't have to tighten the laces really at all in this, and it was totally fine and stayed totally secure. You know, in terms of how the heel counters are set up, both of them have a little bit stiffer heel counters, but you know what's interesting? There's enough heel collar cushioning that it didn't bother me at all. So people that are like moderately sensitive to stiff heel counters, you should be fine. Those that are really sensitive, as this breaks in, you might have a couple issues. I haven't had any so far. So really nice uppers overall, more volume in the 1080, a little bit less volume in the Vomero 17. Final piece, durability wise, I'm getting a little bit more wear in the 1080. Vomero is like a tank where kind of, I keep getting miles on this thing and I've got like a little over 50 and I barely have any wear on the heel. It's wearing really, really well. 1080, I suspect because the shoe is a little bit softer, is just wearing a little bit quicker. So durability wise, probably this firmness. Vomero a little bit better, but honestly, I think you're gonna get plenty of miles out of both. They're gonna work really, really well. Finally, in terms of, I mentioned this, I just wanna talk about use. Vomero, super easy miles. Walking is really, really comfortable. I mean, 1080, walking is really, really comfortable. Super soft over here for easy recovery miles. Vomero is your reliable daily trainer. If you want to pick up the pace a little bit, do an easy run, do a long run. This has kind of been my go-to where I didn't expect to really like this shoe this much because I thought it was going to be more unstable with the narrow midfoot and narrower sole-ish. It's actually been really, really good. So yeah, these again in the same category, but could not be more different in terms of fit, ride, and that's okay because we need some variability in this category and in general. So hopefully this video helps you decide if you're interested in these, and if you are interested, which one might work better for you.